Hello, it's Maria Burke here, and thank you for joining me today on my Artist Maria Burke YouTube channel. And today I want to show you this painting that I've been working on. It's small and it was really simple to paint. It didn't take me very long, an hour or two at the most, to complete it, and it's very, very easy to do. So stay with me and I'll be going through all the different steps. I did start it with an underpainting very similar to another one that I showed you on another video, with something like this as an underpainting, and I put I scraped back a lot of the paint on it, so you can see in the corner. I'll just show you very closely. You can see the scratch marks where I scratched off some of the paint to reveal a kind of it must have been more of a greeny colour on that side, and I painted more of an orange on the underpainting over here, and then I scratched back the painting on top to reveal the underpainting underneath. So it was really simple, and by scratching the paint off like that, as long as you don't damage the canvas, scratching it gently, you can get really lovely effects, and it's very, very simple. We don't always have to paint using a brush. We can paint using different implements and objects, so this is an example of it, and it was just very quick and easy to do. So stay with me today and we'll get started. So I'm just showing you here the right hand side of the painting was a bluish, and then the orange, I just give a wash of blue acrylic paint on the right hand side and some orange in the middle, and just fading it up to a little bit of blue on the top left hand side. So that's just my ground. I kind of give it a rainbow effect so that I can use the right hand side of the painting, the bottom left to the right, to put in the deeper foliage and the darker part of the plants and the painting as I begin to fill it in. So now I've stopped using acrylics. Acrylics dry so fast, and they're just really good to put in as a ground. So really what I'm doing here now is the next part. I'm using oils, so I'm using a deep red. I think it's like a rose madder mixed with some Prussian blue, a very dark blue. The two mixed together gives you this lovely kind of purpley shade. You can see there probably is a little bit of white thrown in there as well. I'm just basically I'm not being very careful about this, just throwing colours on as I feel. I just feel maybe this part of the painting is the brighter part where we're going towards the light, so I'm putting on a brighter yellowy colour, fading up into the top left hand corner, which is going to be the sky peeking through at that side. And I've called this Purple Flower Garden. So there's a lot of purple flowers. They look like clover, really. I was looking at pictures of clover, but there are other kind of wildflowers, that thistly, purpley flowers, and sometimes I just look at them and I kind of come up with my own version of a plant. So they may not be totally authentic, but they are definitely things that I'm inspired by, or that I do look at a lot of plants and pictures of plants, especially ones that I've taken myself. So yeah, you can see I've put quite a dark colour, bringing some of that rose madder and some Prussian blue into the right hand side of the painting. So I'm just anchoring it down there, so that the canvas won't move when I go on to the next part. So really just giving myself a little, I'm finishing off the top right hand side with something that's going to be like the sky peeking in on that side of the painting. So it's again dab of that Prussian blue with some white, and I'm bringing that across the top. I'm using a wide brush so I can fill in quickly, fill in the canvas. So I'm doing this in real time. Obviously, I haven't got this speeded up. As we go on, I'll start speeding up once we've gone through this process where I'm explaining what I'm doing. So I'm starting to scrape back here. And I'm using a palette knife, and these knives, they're not going to cut through the canvas. They're painting knives, they're not cutting knives. So I can really give the canvas a good scrape with these palette knives. I think at one point I used a screwdriver as well. You can use anything, or just an ordinary kitchen knife. Toothpicks, the wooden ones, the wooden cocktail sausage sticks, anything like that. Anything you can find that isn't too sharp, but that is going to scrape off some of that oil paint that I put on over the... See, the acrylic dries very quickly, so the acrylic will remain underneath the undercolour. So yeah, I'm raiding my box looking for things to scrape with, so excuse my head. So yeah, just looking for a bigger knife, really. I wanted to make a broader mark. The first knife was too thin. So you can just go around your house and look for things like screwdrivers, or I don't know, anything that's going to give you different types of marks. So instead of my painting the stems of these plants, I've decided to scrape them. And the reason I've done that is from years of painting plants, I find it very hard to paint realistic stems and twigs and branches and briars, because when I paint with a brush, I usually get a kind of very stylized mark, whereas when I scrape back like this, the lines are more jagged and they're rougher, and they just give that kind of twisted look or uneven look, as you can see what I'm doing here. And sometimes just scraping back is easier. You get the painting done faster because you're scraping back colour rather than adding it on. And it is revealing the ground that I put on underneath, those colours that I laid down with the acrylic underneath. So just really, I'm just playing around here. I'm just having a good time. I don't have to be perfect because I'm going to paint over all of this. So really, I can make as many lines as I want, and in the end I will paint over this, and I will paint. So I'm making the shapes of the flowers now, the little roundy shapes of those purple clover heads. And when it comes to painting, I will leave the scratch marks that I like, and then I will paint into the in-between areas, into the gaps between the lines. So it just gives some nice effects. And it's very free, very playful, just very, very easy to play around like this. And as I'm doing these paintings of flowers, I'm just thinking how beautiful the spring is. And really, I'm kind of working on a garden theme at the moment. I can't wait to be able to get out and go to more places and look at more gardens. But I have been out today and yesterday. I've been out on my walks with my little dog and taken a lot of photographs of just the streets and the trees and the beautiful flowers that are here. I'm making marks, more like grass marks in the distance. So yeah, just out taking photographs with my camera. There's a lovely railway line, an old railway line, very close to where I live. So I'm only allowed to walk 2 kilometres from my home at the moment on the lockdown. So here in Ireland. and that's going to be lifted in a few days to 5 kilometres, which is great. I can go a bit further, but within the 2 kilometres there's an old railway line, and there's a pond, and there's kind of a park nearby and a marina, and I can go to those places, and that's what I've been doing, just taking loads of photographs. So I've got lots of things to work with. Thank you for joining me today. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. It's really great when people subscribe. I don't know, it just is lovely, because then I know that people they're with me on the journey, and they're interested in seeing more videos, and it also encourages me to keep putting up more videos. It just gives me a greater platform to work from, so it really does help to get the subscriptions. So thanks to everybody. I really appreciate everybody who has subscribed. So yeah, you'll find a red button somewhere around there, and then you'll see more clearly when I put more videos up. So if you like what I'm doing and you want to see more, it would be great to get subscribers. And as I said, I'm on Facebook under Artist Maria Burke as well, and I have an Instagram page, also Artist Maria Burke, and a WordPress site, so you can catch me on all of those. If you've got any questions, I'd love to hear from you. You can just put them into the comments. So right at the moment I'm using, it's just a really pale colour. It's a white mixed maybe with a tiny bit of that purpley blue. So I've just decided to bring in the palest colours here and work with those. Yeah, there's a little bit of that rose madder coming in there, mixed into the white. So just playing around with the palette knife here. I'm not somebody who uses a lot of palette knife, but for some reasons, yeah, I'm dropping it now. Oh, I know I'm not. I'm still persisting with the palette knife, but I'll get on to brushwork quickly, or pretty soon. But yeah, as you can see, I can still, seeing that I have the palette knife in my hand, I'm still adding on paint and scraping it back at the moment. So it's great to be able to do that while the paint is still wet. You can hear, if you can still hear the original sound of this video. It was raining, and the rain is falling down on the skylights, and they're making a lovely sound. So when I'm finished this part of the painting, in a little while I will just let it run on. I will speed the painting up in places and just let you watch. Hope you watch it to the very end so that you see exactly what it turned out. It was more colourful than this, a lot more colourful, with a lot more detail in it. So I hope you enjoyed it. And they're just still scraping in with my palette knife, putting in kind of the shapes of those flowers, just marking them in. Yeah, I think I'm finally coming on to the using my brush. So you're going to see the next step of the process now. So I'm taking a smaller brush, it's not tiny, and just working into some of those light colours there up at the sky, bringing that light down into the painting. It's kind of a muted light, really, what you would see when you're looking through grasses or trees. You see that coming into the painting. So it's a very, very simple composition. You know, there's no mountains or there's no major background here. It's just really the light coming in and the foliage extending up to the top of the painting, the top left of the painting. So really what I'm doing here is I'm bringing some of that lighter colour and I'm painting in between the gaps, between those scratch marks. And some of those scratch marks will be left and some of them I will leave them, and you'll see them at the very end in the painting. And then there'll be other areas where I'll be painting in leaves. And adding in more green and other colours.